Saturday, everyone. We are live again with another episode of Have You Met? Joined by the lovely Tony from Hack the Movies. Let's
Thank
pop it
you.
up, y'all. Hey.
I'm looking your
Yes.
way, now I'm looking your way. I'm stuck in the
Um,
middle with you
Yeah.
guys.
Sorry, it's a little scrunch, but we like
It's
the,
just
the
like, oh
format.
hi. How you doing?
Oh yeah, Tony Sandwich.
Yeah.
This is great for clip outs.
yeah. Thanks for joining us. I've been aware of you for a while, and Ray was always giving you props. And I think
Thanks.
the first time we've been going to too many games for a couple years. The first time I already knew you from your good friend Adam Does Movies.
Oh
yeah.
Some of the collabs that that's where I first. That's
Yeah.
actually where I first found you.
I got to
right.
see him on one of your panels you invited me on.
Oh
for your
yeah,
show.
that's right.
Yeah.
We did Shazam too, and you revealed you were like the only person who liked Black Adam. We were like, wait, what?
I like Black
Oh
Adam.
yeah, I was the only one gassing it up.
So, but you,
By the way, someone bought me a 12-inch Black Adam statue as like a joke. Like I don't know.
oh wow,
Pull it out.
I could do that occasionally to show your that's a lot of stuff back there.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna grab it right now.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that was in jest. But yeah, if you did have it in arm's reach, that would be great.
It's literally behind this magazine rack. Maybe I'll grab it at the end. But yeah, that was a fun dream. I love Adam. Me and him are now doing these bets. We try to guess who would get the most Golden Globe winners. He won, and the loser had to do a video written by the winner.
Oh wow!
So I did a whole video on how I am a loser. That was fun. But now we're doing it for the Oscars. We're trying to predict who's going to win the most Oscars. He's going all in on The Brutalist, even though he hasn't seen it. And I went all in on Emilia Perez because it got the most nominations. So I figure I have to at least win one or two.
Oh yeah, like that whole post or outer movie like sort of dialogue has just been a dumpster fire, unfortunately. I don't know if it's going to affect the awards and stuff like that, but
I don't know.
I hope you win. I just hope you win.
I hope I win too. We're doing I'm hashtag Perezidents. He's hashtag Brutes. We're gonna live stream and we're calling it the Hack Adamy Awards.
That's so clever.
That's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm hoping I win this time. I really want to write a really good video for him to read.
Cool.
But yeah, Max, I know you have probably like the biggest like movie repertoire and like like collection sort of like related discussions and things like that around around that topic you want to probably get into.
Sure. I want to talk about your YouTube history, what you were like as a kid, what you want, what got you into nerd culture and things like that. When I first met you, I was not collecting VHS, the first too many games. Now the second one, and I was one of those people like, why am I going to get VHS, 4K and Blu-ray? And now I've like gone hardcore into collecting. I can't stop. I love it. I think my initial reason was like, VHS isn't good. Is I remember it as my VHS was as a poor kid, and everything was taped off cable.
Yeah,
but
I have a lot of those. Oh,
but actually, the store-bought VHS are really good quality. Like it's still standard def for sure, but it's a good experience. I haven't had any. Everyone acts like they're going to disintegrate in your hand. The tapes, and I haven't had that for too many issues.
Yeah. Some of mine don't work. Some of them have mold. Actually, I have a friend who actually does like mold removal now. He has like a thing,
cool.
So I want to see if I can salvage some of them. It's funny because I wasn't really collecting tapes. My grandfather had a bunch, and he left I got his whole movie collection when he died. So a lot of these, or at least early on, a lot of these were his. Since then, when the show blew up, a bunch of people donated tapes and DVDs to me. So I have a bunch now. I'm in the opposite where I'm trying to
you're
get
inherited
rid of them.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll stop by.
If you want. Whenever I go to events, I usually have just like a stack of tapes and DVDs, and I give them away if you subscribe to my channel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I feel bad because other people are like selling tapes, and I'm just like, I don't think the Dean Martin roast tapes are gonna go for that much money, so you can just have it as long as you subscribe. I have a lot of duplicates. I have all
as
the
long
ones
as you
I
sign
really
it. As long as you sign it.
I only get tapes if I really want if it's like a really rare one.
Okay.
Or if it's like an interesting one. Like right now my Deep Rising review, it just shot up in views because someone illegally uploaded the movie, and I get to YouTube, and I guess
it's the recommended right below.
Yeah, people are watching it, and then my review is getting like recommended. But for that one, I got the demo tape that they sent to video stores. So all the footage in that episode is from the demo tape. So like the footage will turn black and white. There'll be text at the bottom about like how like you should put this in your video store. So I'll get random tapes like that, but I haven't been like actively collecting any in a while because I have so much now.
Oh, okay. So my plan to meet up and take you tape hunt is not a good plan.
Don't get me wrong, they're not
probably
like
not,
interesting.
not.
A lot of the ones I'm trying to get rid of aren't like interesting. I don't think you're gonna like a lot of them, but
so your collection here, and I'll show this again. No. Not everything, right? That's just some of it.
That's just some of it. A lot of that is just for display. The box sets here for like DVDs and Blu-ray box sets and some VHS, those like are mine, like that I use. The rest of these, they're just mostly decoration. Like they're all real tapes, but they're just decoration.
Okay.
I have a personal like DVD and Blu-ray collection off camera.
Okay. So that's interesting. Your majority of your collection you inherited or donations.
Yep.
You didn't necessarily search out the tapes.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like I have my personal collection I actually bought a lot of, but yeah, when it comes to like what's on screen here, a lot of it was donated or cheap thrift store buys, or just I got it from my grandfather or family members just send them to me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So what you do have Blu-ray and DVD. What physical media do you still collect then? Because I know you say you're getting rid of some.
Oh no, like I said, it's mostly just the tapes and like DVDs of movies that I don't care about or I'm never gonna watch because I got a lot of them over the years. I'm just like, I don't think I need Ocean's 8. I think I'm good. I like tapped out after Ocean's 11. I didn't really like the other ones. Like I think I could skip 8. I can give that one away. But yeah, lately what I like that they've been doing with physical media is like just packaging like multiple movies together, like either cheap DVD packs or nice Blu-ray box sets. Because I'm trying to like condense my collection, and I'm like, I don't think I need like all the Star Treks. I'm just gonna get this one pack that has all of them in one case, just so I have more room. So that's what I've been doing.
So like all the spines make like one image. Is that what you have?
Well, I have the VHS tape collection that does that, but no, the modern releases, you can fit most of the movies in like a regular DVD case. I'm trying to like get better shelf space. I'm trying to get rid of movies. I want the same movies.
This is not going the way I thought it would. This interview, I thought you were gonna feed into my obsession of collecting. Of like, yeah, get some more movies, and then
I want to collect.
Now you sound like my wife.
No. I'm
get rid of stuff.
I'm trying to be practical about it. Like I want. Technically, I have more movies now. I just have less cases. Like
I even started getting Laserdisc, Tony. I'm
okay. I have been getting Laserdisc, but those are mostly just for decoration too, because I don't have a Laserdisc player.
I don't see why how you can collect something.
Oh,
without
you don't
a case,
have a
though,
Laserdisc player yet.
Maybe that's cool. Yeah, that's really
no,
cool.
but like I said, Star Treks. I had like a bunch of the Star Trek separately, and then I'm in Walmart, and they're like, "Here's all original films in one case." I'm like, "Oh, I'd rather have that, just so I can get rid of some of the extra ones." So I'm keeping the same. I have more movies now, just less physical versions of them. They're all just packaged together nicely. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been getting real into 4K releases. The funny thing is, I just made that whole point of how I want smaller cases, more movies, but I bought the Christopher Reeve giant 4K box, which is huge and has like velvet and foam in it. I'm like, all right, I might have went a little too far on that one. But yeah, I really love 4K Blu-rays. I know physical media's not really super dwindling. No. Just regular people don't really buy it as much, so it's become more collector focused, I feel like. So yeah, I've been buying some of that some of those 4K
What about the new VHS? Like, look at this. New VHS.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about these new releases?
So not the guys who do that. I do have a friend who does put modern movies on VHS, and I have a couple of them on set. Like, there's that indie horror movie from years ago called The Love Witch. I have the VHS version of that. So yeah, I like those. I think they're cool. I would definitely grab them if I saw them.
This is the physical edition from Walmart, $60.
Oh God, they put that in Walmart.
Yeah, well, they have the Terrifier series now.
That was the one I was.
I can't find it. The scalpers get it, but what's your thoughts on these current releases?
I think they're cool. Again, they're
but
very
it's not. But $60 is that insane?
I didn't even buy that movie on any regular Blu-ray. I definitely want to buy it on VHS. And I thought the movie was. That's the problem. I thought the movie was okay. So that particular movie, I would not get on VHS.
Okay.
But yes, I do have some modern movies on VHS. I feel like a bad friend now because I'm blanking on the name. I'm going to look that up while you ask me other questions.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I definitely want to kind of like shout out how I got familiar with your channel. So I was, if this was back before I started making content, it was maybe like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe like 7-8 years ago. I could be wrong, but like, there was this new show on Cinemassacre called Rental Reviews. And I was like interested. I forget what the first one that I watched was, but one of the earlier episodes, y'all were still kind of like, building up momentum and getting into the groove of it. But I remember seeing James, and then there was like 3 other random dudes, including you. And
you were random dude number 2.
Yeah,
I had no idea who you were. I was just like, who's this guy?
You didn't immediately go to Reddit to write 10,000 posts about how you hate us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, I'm so like ignorant of like internet culture. I probably didn't even realize Reddit is where people run to complain about things, in addition to Twitter or X. But like, anyway, that was where I got to see more of like the personalities of like and just like the conversations y'all were having were such organic, like sort of like, this is before I started getting into live streams, so it felt like what was missing is that like there's so many like edited, curated videos out there of like reviews, but y'all were just literally like chopping it up as homies sitting in the same space,
like
just
that.
talking about movies. It was something I've never seen before, like as someone who like didn't really grow up with like with that sort of like exposure to like podcasts and things like that. So I thought it was really cool.
We definitely didn't invent it. I always say like, I mean, if you want to watch people on a set talking about movies, you go all the way back to Siskel and Ebert. I used to watch reruns of it all the time.
Oh, I love this.
So I Hack the Movies like started like in college. It was just a way for me to film stuff when I couldn't film the things I wanted to. I'm like, I love talking about movies. Let me just film it. It went through many different incarnations. But before rental reviews, like years before, I did do basically what we did in rental reviews. I had a 3-camera setup. I was talking about movies with my friends. No one watched, of course. And like a lot of those were uploaded to Blip, so they're all gone. And like the 3 cameras didn't match. It was a shit show. But so that's why I really liked doing rental reviews. I'm like, I've always wanted to do a show like this. I've tried to do a show like this. And I was still doing stuff on Hack the Movies. I was doing like character stuff. A lot of that was taken down because when the show blew up, they're like, is this what you really think? I'm like, no, I'm playing a character. Like, it couldn't be more obvious. I'm not that good of an actor. So yeah, rental reviews was great. We used to do it in James's basement. He has his own little video store set up in his basement. And then we built this set at the studio at the office I used to be at. And then you flash forward, I went all in on this. Like, rental reviews gets canceled. I went in all in on this. It takes off. And then when I left, I had to take the set with me. So I rebuilt it here. So it's been through many different incarnations.
I was about to say, like, is that the same set that you were using in like, the latter, seasons of rental reviews? Okay.
Yes, it was the second set. It's been moved, and obviously it's in it's funny, it's actually technically bigger. There's like a 3rd wall now that used to not be there. But the ceiling's lower, so I had to change it a bit. It feels more like me though. It's kind of taken on its own identity. Yeah, when rental reviews ended, I was already starting to use this set for my stuff anyway, and I was like, why don't I just do a show? I'm like, I already did this in the past. How about I do this? But now I have an audience, so it all kind of worked out. Although I was sad that show ended, but I guess it worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm glad that you sort of like kept like, the format and spirit of the show going, because like I said, it was the format for me, and that was like filling a void in like my content enjoying experience, I guess, on YouTube, where it wasn't necessarily like the most edited, and I liked that there were just, it felt like just regular people, regular friends hanging out and enjoying each other's company, and I was just sort of like, like kind of like voyeuristically like watching y'all. So I really just, I think that helped shape a lot of like, what it is that I watch today too, because now all I do is like really watch, like podcasts and movie talk, similar to what you do, Tony, and like what a lot of people do now that that I watch. So yeah, I just want to say like that really like, kind of sparked my interest in how I discovered that, you could do something like that.
Yeah, I love doing it. And like the best thing about like this becoming like my full-time thing, I've had more people show up on the show. I have like friends from my like childhood that I have on the show, like people I've grown up with.
That's awesome.
And then I'll also just throw on new people just to be fun. I'll throw on people I barely know. That's always fun. That's how we got Mid Salad. That's how we got her reviewing.
I heard she said on her interview, she said you're part of the blame for her.
No, it's her. Me and Riley were supposed to review Power Rangers, and she insisted on being in the episode, even though she wasn't paying attention to the movie. But I find that funny.
Yeah.
But now she's one of the greatest movie reviewers on YouTube.
Of course.
Now. So
she reviews more movies than me.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I would love to hear more about like, so you are definitely like a movie dude. You definitely made that clear, but you also have like, you do have like a sizable, audience of gamers too. And you yourself, obviously like, you play games too. Could you give us an idea of like, you're more of like a retro gamer? Is that more where you're leaning at these days?
I don't really fit into any like genre of gaming, really. I guess like the era I'm most used to is like, like PS1 up until like Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That's when I played the most. Although no, I play actually a bunch of modern games too. Mostly when I'm streaming. I need to stream more. But I love like the PS2 era.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do a little show once in a while called Just Like the Movie, where I will review a game. I'll review a game based on a movie, but only on how faithful it is to the movie.
That's a great idea. I gotta check that out.
I didn't do it as much as I wanted to last year, but the PS2 like Xbox 360 area is the best for that. So when I go back and play old games, it's usually garbage like that. They're not all good. But no, my favorite game of all time is Siphon Filter, and actually, during actually right before COVID, and then like during COVID, I was doing a show called Siphon Filter and Friends, where I played a level of Siphon Filter with a different friend of mine, and like the show did well enough that the lead game designer saw it as it was airing. And he hit me up, and the last episode is me playing the level.
Oh man,
with the guy who created it, and I just like talked to him for like an hour, so that was cool. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm not like the biggest like gamer. I play games all the time, but I'm not like in the know of anything. I love old retro games. I'm really bad at them. Okay. I've always been really bad at platformers. I enjoy them though. I really love them. I'm just not very good at them. And I was actually playing. I bought the Disney collection for Nintendo Switch, like the Lion King, Jungle Book, Aladdin one, because my nieces like love Lion King, and I'm like, all right, let's play this, and I'm just like dying over and over.
That's a hard game, actually.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, girls, that you have to watch Simba get like stampeded over repeatedly. My bad. Didn't mean that.
Did you see the new? I guess like there's the Mufasa movie, and then there's like the live action.
Look, I gave the live action Disney stuff 3 chances.
What was those chances?
I saw Jungle Book. That one was like different enough and stood on its own. So that one was fine. And also, I love the original Jungle Book as a kid, but when you watch it as an adult, you're like, this is a bunch of loosely connected stories. Not really much going on here. So I gave Jungle Book a shot. I thought it was okay. What was after that? I saw Beauty and the Beast, and I was in the theater, and I just went, why didn't I just stay home? It's like the same thing but worse. This is bad.
Yeah, beat for beat. It was like kind of okay.
But like not as good. I'm just like, oh, this kind of sucks. And Beauty and the Beast, was there enough? I know what one made me stop watching. I just keep forgetting if there was one.
Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Lion King.
Aladdin was the one where I went, I'm done.
Oh, I like that one.
Apparently that's supposed to be one of the better ones, but
well, if that's one of the better ones, then I'm good. I saw Aladdin in a theater with like 3 people, which is great because I got the live tweet the whole time. I'm like, this sucks. Why'd they change this? What did they add to this? But the worst offense was I got to work with Gilbert Gottfried twice, and he was awesome.
Yay.
And I love Alan Tudyk. So when I heard they got him to be Iago, I'm like, that's a great idea. He's a wonderful voice actor. That'll be great. He says like 2 words the whole movie.
That's okay.
I'm like, this sucks.
Underused.
And also the movie isn't very good. It was really bad. And they actually had some good actors in it, and they were all terrible. So after that, Lion King was my favorite growing up. But after that one, I went, nah, I'm good. I looked up the Be Prepared song because that's my favorite song from the original. And it's like not even sung. It's like spoken word, and it's barely a song.
Oh yeah, you're right. Scar is just sort of like,
yeah.
He's
like, be prepared. We're gonna kill the king. I'm like, this isn't a song. I'm like, this is terrible. So I have not watched that. I will never see Mufasa. I mean, one day I might be forced into watching the live action Lion King, but I'm not going to watch Mufasa.
Well, that force, that's a good, I was going to try to segue a question is what's your review like how do you come up with the reviews that you're going to review? Is it based on your community? And what do you think? I haven't delved in your channel enough to see, do you ever do new movie reviews like current in cinemas? Okay.
So, it's an evolving process. I've been experimenting a lot.
Okay.
Basically it's because this is a business now and I'm financially dependent on it. I have to be careful of my selections. Right now I'm looking at my what is the best Shrek movie that comes out Monday, and I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to take a hit on that. Probably shouldn't have done that.
You're going to get good engagement, I think. There's going to be a debate.
But basically it's just like I have to factor in my audience, what they like. So I look at episodes that did super well and I try to pick movies that are in that wheelhouse. I do try to experiment and do like a movie that my audience might not be into in an effort to get another audience. But yeah, new movies, I only really give them dedicated reviews if they're attached to like a big franchise.
Okay.
That I know my audience likes, because I tried to do just some new movies that weren't really attached to anything, and they were the episodes are great, the movies are great, but the reviews were like total duds. So a few years ago I came up with the live wrap-up format, which is what Rhea joined me on that one time, as a way to talk about new movies and not take too much of a financial hit. So yeah, at the end of every month I pick like 6 movies or shows or something, and we go live and we talk about them. We have the chat, send super chats, and we read them. We have patrons join in and talk about which ones they watched. So yeah, it's a way for me to talk about newer movies, but I don't have to waste a week editing for an episode no one will watch. And I've been doing that with a lot of newer stuff. I've been, when it comes to like specifically new things, I've been shifting to the live format, because there's stuff I want to talk about, but I don't have time to edit all these things. So yeah, I talk about movies, new and old. Nothing's really off limits. More of the schlocky, like low budget stuff, those are Patreon reviews. We'll put some of that stuff on a paywall with Patreon. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, nothing's really off limits.
So you I thought because you're a big channel, but so you were able to do this full time. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that big, so it's a struggle, but you know, I'm surviving. We're surviving.
That's great.
Folks
That's
are familiar
great
with you. Yeah, you gotta give yourself more credit. Yeah, I did want to ask, since you mentioned you're leaning more towards, the live stream format, do you feel like
only for newer stuff? No, only for newer stuff. There are people who are afraid I'm going all in. I'm like, no, I'm still doing the 3 camera edited stuff. For newer movies, I want to do the live stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, my question was like, how is your audience, feeling about it? Because maybe did they start watching your edited content, so most of your audience is there, and like you're trying to reach new people?
They're hit or miss with the live stuff. It depends on what I'm talking about, usually. Obviously they like the pre-recorded stuff more, and I would love to do more pre-recorded stuff. It's just I don't have the manpower to do it all the time and cover all the movies I want. But it's been helping with like Patreon, because like again, I have the $10 patrons call into the show and they really enjoy it. Some of them have called into the show and then become members of, like, I ended up doing episodes with them because they were really good, they were really funny. Famously, I big leagued Gil from One Take. He became a $10 patron. He called into an episode. I had no idea who he was. I was like, all right, thanks, Gil, for stopping by. Thank you for being a patron. Took him off because I only have him come in at the end and like we talked to him briefly. And I got a comment being like, wow, a Tony Gill crossover. I'm like, who the hell's Gil? And I look and he has way more subscribers. Than
really?
Like, oh no, I big leagued that guy. Oh no. But now we become like really good friends.
That's
awesome. He's been on the show. He's on almost all the live shows. We've done a lot together. So yeah, the live format has given me like a bunch of new friends. And it's also a way to get like people who normally couldn't be on. Like, I've never met Adam from Adam Does Movies in person, but because of the live stuff, I've been able to collaborate with him so much.
That's cool. I hope you guys get to meet one day. I want to see that.
Yeah, I know, Rhea, when you're in town, you're usually stuck at the convention. So that one time we got you to call in, I'm like, that's the only way I'm going to get her. So
oh no, we're gonna make it work. I'm gonna be in that studio one day with y'all.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to. We might stay a day extra or go a day early to Too Many Games to see if it works out. If it works out, we got to get her in there.
Too Many Games is a big filming weekend for me. So yeah, let me know. I'll pencil. I'm planning. I don't know what yet, but I am planning to be filming a lot that weekend since so many people are in town. So yeah, just give me a heads up. We'll figure out what movie we could do.
Okay, so since you're a movie reviewer, do you still have, like, some of us, and we kind of put pressure on Reyes sometimes, like a list of shame of movies you haven't seen yet. That since you're a reviewer, this is gonna be harder. But I could tell you what, like, she hasn't seen Jaws. And I just found that out recently, and I'm like, you gotta see Jaws.
Come on,
you gotta see Jaws. Or is there a genre movie that you want to get more into? Because you've done so many, though. It's probably a hard question for you. Because I need to get more into horror. I'm trying to. I only recently got into horror because of my friends, and then the community of horror is great.
I'm trying to think. There are some like old classics that I would actually really like to watch. I can't think of a specific one off the top of my head. Well, a recent one, I felt really bad. I was really late to the Terrifier game.
Yes, me too.
I saw the first Terrifier like 2 years ago. But like when Terrifier 2 was exploding, I missed out on that whole wave. So we did a Terrifier. We talked about all three recently. And before the third one came out, I'm like, I guess I should finally watch that second one. I'm like, oh man, I totally missed out on this. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. That's actually a really good question. I'm like, what movie series have I missed out on?
Yeah, well, like you've done so many, so it's probably harder for you. Like we interviewed Mint too, and she's like, she just does so many.
Yeah.
But I have a lot to work on myself.
Well, here, since like we're diving into like a lot of like the more newer topics that you're live streaming about, like the new films. I'm sure there's like a lot that are kind of like going under the radar, or just they come and go so fast, like blah blah blah. So like maybe like any like do you keep up with like the comic book movie scene? Do you have any favorites so that recently that you've gotten to review or that are on your bucket list? I guess that's two questions.
When it comes to like comic book movies in general or just recent stuff?
I would say like comic book movies, for example. But yeah, recent.
No, I meant like recent comic book movies because I do cover a lot of old comic book stuff. I kind of fell off of the MCU. I probably should check in on some of that stuff at some point. I will say we did the Penguin recently, and that was really, really good. I'm excited to cover more of the DCU stuff going forward. We just did like Creature Commandos. That was fun. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what comic book stuff coming out that I'm excited for. I'm excited for Captain America, but for like not for good reasons. Because they reshot it. I'm gonna see it, but I'm more excited because they like have reshot it a bunch of times, and I'm like, I'm always interested in that because usually it's like a shit show when that happens. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes reshoots can save a movie. But then other times you get what was the one they reshot a bunch of? The Predator from 2018.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, what is the second half of this movie? And then you find out it's like, oh, it's a completely different movie than what they shot.
Now that you mention it, I am sort of thinking about it because some YouTubers or videos can point out, okay, this is a reshoot. This is like maybe an original part because the lighting's different. Oh, you know, there's a continuity error here. So yeah, those are always fun to point out.
Which I have been doing stuff like that on my channel. I don't know if you saw those. The solo, I do like these breakdowns of TV edits and work print cuts of movies.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Those are fun. The work prints are my favorite because you get to see an earlier edit of the movie. And you can see like what they changed, what they fixed. The most recent one I did work print wise was Scream 3. I went through the Scream 3 work print. That was very interesting. They set up that stupid voice box Ghostface has. They actually explain how it works. Where in the movie you're like, how is he doing everyone's voices? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, those are a lot of fun. So yeah, that's why I like seeing movies that I know have been reshot, especially now doing those work print videos. I'm like, I want to spot what's different. I'm like, okay, their hair looks a little different here. My favorite was Solo, a Star Wars story, where I was like, I wonder what scenes were shot by Ron Howard, and then Clint Howard showed up on screen. I'm like, I bet you that's a Ron Howard scene. I don't think Clint Howard was in this movie before Ron Howard showed up.
What was I gonna say? So there are like a lot of newer movies that I would love to watch. Like let's say like Companion just came out, and then what else? Like yeah, let's say that. I don't know if like there are any like. Do you just watch movies like for fun, or does it have to lead to something like content outcome?
It's a little bit of both. I do watch movies for fun, but like if they're coming out. Like if I'm watching a movie that's just released, I have to make it part of the show.
Yeah.
But the good news is like I'm able to switch things up. So like when I do the live wrap up, I'll pick like 2 like safe ones I think that my audience would be real interested in, and then I just sandwich in a bunch of indie stuff or like weird stuff that's out of my wheelhouse. For fun. Just because I like experiencing new movies and movies that I'm not too familiar with. And some of the first few years doing the podcast, I missed out on a lot because I was only focused on like what I thought my audience would like. But yeah, like this week we did the 2 big ones were the new Wolfman remake because I figured my audience would like that, and the Resident Evil documentary about George A. Romero's Resident Evil. And then I threw in like there's a local indie film that was like shot in Philadelphia that became like number 6 on Amazon Prime. So I was like, shit, let me talk about that. If I gave that its own episode, it would have failed completely. But yeah, so it's hard to I don't really know what my method is for what I want to watch. It's just whatever looks interesting to me.
You saw the George Romero documentary about Resident. Is that good? Because I was looking at the trailer. I wanted to.
Yes, I love the way they presented it. They recreate a lot of moments from the games, like with actors and stuff, and moments from the script.
Oh, cool.
The only issue is like, how familiar are you with Resident Evil? Like, and how familiar are you with George Romero? If you're like me, who's familiar with both, the first like hour is just like stuff you already know. I'm like, yeah, I know this. Yeah, I'm aware of this. There were a few new things that I liked. But when they finally got into the versions of the movies that never got made and showed like the behind the scenes stuff and the concept art, that stuff was really, really great. But yeah, I thought it was a really well done documentary. I feel like everyone should check it out.
Oh, cool. I love that type of stuff for like the industry movies. Is so interesting to me. Even stuff that doesn't get made or almost gets made. It's like a great movie is like lightning in a bottle. You have to catch it. And sometimes there's a miss or there's interference with the studio and things move around. And I love that kind of stuff, like the Superman with Nicolas Cage documentary.
The Superman one was good. I want to watch the Jodorowsky's Dune one about the unmade Dune movie.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Oh, yeah. I think that might have actually been like the first big one of these types of films. That might have been like the really big one where Anton Jodorowsky
I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Keep going.
I think I've only seen two because like I actually went to school to study film and animation, and a lot of like our prerequisites was like film history and film theory, and one of them I'm gonna say we had to watch, but I actually enjoyed watching Heart of Darkness. So
that's the is that the Apocalypse Now one?
Yeah, Apocalypse
Yeah.
Now.
Oh.
That was like, you know, the production behind that, like, I mean, it's probably up there as far as like how significant and like, you know, like impactful that production was. But let me see what else. There was another one. The documentary. I think there was a documentary for the making of Island of Dr. Moreau.
Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
I want to see that one. I heard it's crazy.
Yes, that one's crazy bananas.
Yeah, I think it's on Tubi right now. So on Movie Dumpster, a podcast I collaborate with frequently, we did Island of Dr. Moreau, and I went back and I watched that documentary. That one is fascinating.
It's better than the movie for sure.
It's definitely
I like the movie, but I know it was bad. I heard batshit crazy stories about both Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, and I really want to see that one. And then the Man on the Moon one with Jim Carrey. I heard he was such an a-hole.
Oh,
on
yeah.
the set of
the
that.
behind the scenes stuff, conversations are definitely probably the ones I love the most. So
By the way, there's another documentary that has a similar title coming out. It's called Hearts of Darkness.
Oh.
And it's about the making of Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's so random.
So I like that they know that Heart of Darkness is like a famous film documentary. Like, oh, we're gonna call ours Hearts of Darkness. I'm actually, apparently one of my friends is in it. I'm like, how the hell did you get in it? I'm like, that's one of my biggest reviews. But I'm excited to see that one because that movie is fascinating.
Well, let me ask you this: as far as like the whole content game and how you see the landscape expanding, there's a lot of live streams that kind of go into, you know, the recent movie talk news and things like that, discussion and pop culture stuff. Since your audience is founded on something a lot different than that, do you feel like that you personally are, you know, interested in possibly exploring that genre?
Like movie news and stuff? Yeah, I dabbled a little bit. If it's like a topic that interests me, I didn't do it too much last year, but I know like the year before I did like a whole video on like just how Hollywood was just losing money from these big box office like films. So yeah, occasionally I will like break down something that's topical. But a lot of times I've been doing that with Adam on his channel. He will go into like movie news and I'll join him sometimes. I know I try to do like once a year. If there's like a Comic-Con, I do a thing called Do I Care? Where I just go through all the Comic-Con news. And after each one, I go, do I care about this? That used to be a solo video I did, but now I've turned it into like a live thing. Because it is funny. I don't know if it's just me getting older or maybe the products just aren't as good. But now when I look at Comic-Con news, I'm just like, yeah, I actually just don't really care about that. Let me see. Oh, that one looks interesting. Whereas before I was like, oh, cool, this is coming out. I feel like we just had too much stuff over the last 10 years. Like, all right, I can't, I need to calm down a little bit. We need to calm down with some of these franchises.
No, the saturation is definitely real. So like, I hear what you're saying about just focusing on, you know, the core content, you know, what is it that people people want and what you actually enjoy doing and that you actually care about. So
yeah. And I'm not opposed to doing movie news. It's not going to be a regular thing for me. I'd rather just do it with Adam. And also when I do it with Adam, he lets me take the audio and put it on my podcast feed. So you kind of get it if you're a podcast listener. We also do co-streams on I have a second channel called Hack the Movies Clips and Streams. So if there is content like that, it's usually over there. But my channel, unless it's something I find really interesting that I can make really good content out of, I'm probably not going to do too much news. The most you get on the main channel is like when a trailer comes out and I do like a short about my thoughts on it.
Okay.
But yeah, when it comes to like gossip or stuff like that, I don't really care unless I can work it in as a joke into a review. But I'm not like breaking down any gossip or any stuff like that. I don't really look up too much behind the scenes stuff these days either. I used to follow like the production of movies a lot. But yeah, for whatever reason, I guess because I'm just too goddamn busy.
We'll have to we'll have to at least ask you about current DC, James Gunn and Superman.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
But I do want to go.
How plugged in are you though? You're plugged in, but it's not,
That one I have to be a little bit more plugged in because I know my audience likes that stuff, and I'm interested in those characters, and I want to see them done right. So yeah, those. I mean, by the way, if it all fails, I won't care. I'll be like a little bummed, but I'll get over it. There's been a lot of DC movies that have let me down. So at this point, I'm just kind of numb to it. I'll be like, oh, wow, it's another weak Superman movie. All right, I'm going to go watch something else.
Another week? Wait a second.
That's how
what's that mean?
Oh, there's been a bunch of them.
Okay.
And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to talk about movies I wasn't happy with because some people on the channel might have interviewed the director of those movies. So we're just not going to say any of that
it's okay.
stuff.
You're radiating positivity right now. So great.
My favorite thing with the James Gunn like discourse right now with like the Snyder fans is that they're trying to manufacture this like feud between the two directors where they're like, he did this to spite him, they're doing this, and I'm just like, no, I'm pretty sure they're friends. And I'm like,
yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure I've only ever enjoyed 2 Zack Snyder movies, and one of them was written by James Gunn. So those whole like manufactured, like the fans want them to be fighting. I'm like, I don't think you guys are going to get them to fight. And I don't know how many times Zack Snyder has to come out and be like, yeah, I hope everything works out for you them to just let it go.
So you're not too much of a fan of Zack.
I gave it a shot. Actually, I like.
You don't hurt my feelings. You don't.
So when it comes to Snyderverse, I actually like some of the things that spun off of his work. Like, I like the first Wonder Woman. I have to make that very clear. I enjoyed the Shazams. Shazam 2 was a little weak, but the first one was fun. Aquaman 1 was fun. The first one was fun. I have to keep specifying that. So there were things I liked in that universe. His movies not so much.
What no BVS love, the ultimate cut, or
absolutely not. No.
Or Zack, or what about the Snyder cut, the actual Snyder cut?
Okay, let's be clear.
Did you watch that yet?
I did. The Snyder cut is not what we would have gotten in theaters originally. I love that people are like,
of course.
No,
he made it even better. He made it even better.
I was going to say, like, no, he would have had to have delivered on a 2-hour movie. So it was definitely not going to be that movie. I don't know. It was fine. When you have 6 hours to tell a movie, I guess you have a lot of time to experiment and work on it. But it was still definitely way too long. We didn't need 10,000 goddamn slow motion scenes. I don't know why he's so obsessed with that. My real issue with Snyder is I'm like, okay, I didn't like his DC stuff, but I liked some of his movies before that. I hope he makes good stuff afterwards. And then I watched Army of the Dead, and I went, nah, I'm out. I'm good. We're good. I'm over. Good luck, Snyder. I hope you have fun.
I'd have to subscribe to your Patreon to get you. Did you see Rebel Moon?
Oh, God, no. No, I didn't see Rebel Moon because Snyder fans were like, oh, wow.
I'm thinking about getting Patreon just to make you watch Rebel Moon.
Okay. Oh, no.
Look, I'm not shitting on Snyder fans, but I think they got so obsessed with the fact that there were better versions of his movies that he just made 2 versions of his new movies. Yeah. And I'm like, it's Netflix. Why are you doing 2 versions? Just release the one version you want. Who cares? But no, I saw like footage from it, and I'm like, it's a lot of slow motion again. I'm good.
There's slow motion grain collecting.
It's just
they're like chopping grain.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
And the second one.
And I want him to be good. Like, I'm not really that big of a hater. Yeah, again, I liked 300. I liked Dawn of the Dead. I was excited to see where he would go. And I think my first issues were with him were Watchmen, where Watchmen is so slavishly devoted to the source material, which is fine. And then the third act, he's like, oh, I'm going to change things. I'm like, why? Change the rest of the movie. I'm like, why were you so hitting every single story beat? And then the last act, you're like, yeah, I'm getting rid of that squid. I'm like, you could have went back and changed a lot of other things if that was the case. What are we doing here? But I wish him all the luck, all the best of luck. Are people liking Rebel Moon? I hear no one talking about
everyone. It's the hottest thing on the internet. Everyone loves it. It's
my favorite.
Universally
you
praised.
Guys seem like Snyder fans, but you don't seem like the Snyder bots on Twitter that just want to get into fights. Have you dealt with those guys?
Yeah, I'm one of those Snyder bot. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, when I entered the whole streaming audience stuff, I would engage in the audience right before the Snyder Cut came out. So I wasn't part of the whole movement, but I enjoyed engaging with the folks who and the hype around it getting released. So since then, I became more, aware of the discourse, even though like I was trying to, be friendly and cool with everyone. So for me, like I still very much try to be that even like several years later. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm like, I'm cool with everyone. So like if you like something, I like something.
It's mostly the ones online that just want to get it because like they're just so focused. If they really love Snyder, they would really just like his newer stuff. But they're like, they got to bring him back for Justice League too.
I'm a nuanced Snyder fan. I love Zack. I think he does better on IP. Like you have issues with his IP work.
Yeah.
I think his IP work is superior to his original stuff. Not that I hate his original stuff, but like Army of the Dead, Rebel Moon, there's some cool stuff in there. But I really like his adaptations of stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed his remake of Dawn of the Dead. I like 300. He has it in him. I just don't know what happened after like Watchmen. That is just there was this disconnect. But there's a lot of people online that just want to fight and bring up his DC stuff. I'm like, but I never see you guys like. They praised Rebel Moon for like a week, and then they went right back to attacking James Gunn and bringing up the Snyder DC stuff. Like, guys, just enjoy his new stuff. Relax. Like, just be supportive. Like, you're making him look bad if you're just like.
Here's where I was like, I wanna be in a spot where I'm like, okay, his new stuff is so good that I don't even want him to go back to IP work. But I mean, I enjoy the new stuff, but I would prefer he go back to work for working within the big IPs because I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to your childhood though. We have to ask about Tony the child. What was it like growing up?
I came out of the womb saying I hate Zack Snyder.
No, not the Snyder. No, like what got you into nerd culture? What was your family life like?
I didn't even realize it was just nerd culture. It was stuff I liked as a kid. I liked superheroes. I loved movies. My grandfather was real into movies.
Okay, that's because you got his collection. That's awesome that you inherited his collection too. You have the actual tapes he watched,
No one else wanted any of this. And to be fair, it sat in a box for like a few years before the show. Like we were building this set, and I'm like, when we were building this version of the set, we're like, we got to put tapes on it. I'm like, stop right there. I got a whole box at home. Let's bring them out. He would just watch movies all the time. I just really loved movies as a kid. I would just sit in front of the TV and watch them. They helped open up my imagination and whatnot. And I guess it's just timing. Like, being a teen in the early 2000s is when a lot of like the superhero films were being made. A lot of remakes were coming out. Older IPs were being reimagined. So I think it was just right place, right time. And I just love movies in general. The best part about like the DVD era was the special features. So I would watch like all of them behind the scenes, the making ofs, and I got real interested in all that. I went to film school. I ended up filming my own like stuff, original stuff, which I want to get back to at some point. I love podcasting, but I'm getting the itch to just create again. So yeah, that's what it was. I would just like research all this stuff in my youth, and I wanted to look up how movies were made, and that's really hope that explained.
Random question. Oh, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, just really quick. You know how like a lot of our friends and colleagues and acquaintances are like into the comic book discussion and publishing discussion. Have you while being like so like overlapping with them with that community, has that kind of sparked your interest to maybe make a comic book yourself?
Oh God, no, not in this climate. Maybe one day. I'm gonna wait a little bit with the YouTubers making comic book things. I'm gonna see how it pans out for some of them, and then maybe I'll dabble in it. Because I'm friends with a guy who raised a lot of money and still hasn't released his. But I'm also friends with another one who did release a comic called Cameraman, which is pretty good. So yeah, it's definitely something that's on the back of my mind, but I'm not considering it legitimately anytime soon. I'd rather do something more film oriented if I was going to do anything original, because I just have more experience with that. I used to make like a bunch of short films. I had a web series years ago. So I'm more interested to return to that than I am to start making a comic. But I'm not ruling it out. I'd like to try it at some point.
Yeah, the reason I mention it is like, if you were to kind of like step into the creative zone again and start with the comic book. That's basically your storyboard to, you know, adapt into the movie. But I know it's like an extra step that you probably don't even want to, you know, that's not necessary for you. So
yeah, not for me. Depending on what movie I was trying to make, the one I'm like thinking about now, a comic wouldn't really suit it. But that's actually not a bad idea. There are comics that are made basically to just be rough drafts for movies, so I totally get that. But yeah, for me personally, comic book, it's not in my wheelhouse at the moment.
totally
But I
fair.
have plenty of friends who are doing them, so that's fun.
I love that your love of movies, a lot of it came from your grandfather and family life, enjoying with family. Do you remember though, like your first tape? Like I know you watched it with your grandfather, but like the first one that you owned or that you got, or maybe like your first video game or first, like, do you like music too?
The first video game, I actually still have them. I have like a bunch of my old Nintendo games. The first thing I played was the original Nintendo, because I was born in like '89, so I think Super Nintendo was on its way, but like my parents like got a bunch of old Nintendo games. So I used to play a lot of Super Mario Brothers and would just die over and over again. And I also had the Rocky and Bullwinkle and the Count from Sesame Street game. I still have those like in the box. I don't know how they've survived this long.
Wow.
So yeah, I was really young playing those games. Those are my earliest memories of video games, is the original Mario, and my mom cursing at Legend of Zelda because she got really far in it, and then I accidentally like deleted her game or something, yelling at me. She spent months on it. And I don't even remember this. Apparently, like I overwrote her game somehow. I don't even remember.
Yikes.
When it comes to first movie, that's impossible to say, just because I was watching them like at an early age. I learned how to work a VCR like really young.
Okay.
And I remember when I was learning to read. So, like you said about movies taped off cable, I had Predator, but not an official tape.
Yeah.
So when I was learning to read, it would help me figure out what movies, what were on what tapes. So I remember being able to like read Predator written on the tape and like spelling it out. I'm like, okay, that's Predator. I know that. RoboCop. So it actually helped me learn to read. I was like, okay, I know what that letter does. Let me find my tape. Okay, that's RoboCop. That's Predator. But I would always put like those two on. Are you grabbing it? He's grabbing
well, no, I have the reason I'm also really getting into tapes now is when besides getting taped off cable, when I was young, my parents were extremely conservative with like not watching me. You can't watch this movie till it's edited for TV.
Why is your icon from DL?
Oh, because he was recording on StreamYard. Okay, so now that I've collected them again, I've actually gone back to movies and like, for example, RoboCop.
Yeah.
This blew my mind watching it on VHS because I've always watched the edited versions. Like I always enjoyed RoboCop, but this is so good on unedited VHS.
It was funny. I grew up with the real, like not the real tape. It was taped off cable, but I had all the violence growing up. Yeah. And I was just watching it casually, like, oh yeah, that guy's all being blown to hell. And I remember watching it on regular TV at one point. I'm like, what is all this? Where's all the shooting? I was like real shocked by all of it. I'm like, where's all the violence? Where's the blood that shoots out of his neck? It's funny we're talking about like tapes that are handwritten, like that are taped off TV. Going back to Scream a few months back, I reviewed the Fox TV cut of Scream 2, and it was a tape that I personally made as a kid because I knew it was going to play on Fox, so I taped it. So that was fun, like seeing old commercials and stuff. But yeah, I cannot think of what my first tape was.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it probably would have been like Jungle Book or so. I think my parents just bought a bunch of tapes at once when I was a kid. So.
Oh, okay. Did you usually get them? Did you get them like used, or you remember like pre-ordering anything when you were younger?
Oh, when I was a kid, no.
I remember my first movie pre-order was the special edition VHS of Star Wars when they did.
I didn't pre-order. I never like pre-ordered movies. New movies were like only a couple times a year we would get like a new movie on tape. We would mostly just rent, or like I said, we would get like the taped off cable bootleg sort of stuff. So like, yeah, my copy of Jurassic Park growing up just that was like in a blank tape with a label, like a label maker, Jurassic Park. It wasn't the official tape. until like the DVD era. Then I started buying stuff that was new, buying collector's editions of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and any other things you remember from your childhood, such as I used to talk about video games, like music? Any other things that you like to collect that you maybe don't do as big a focus on your channel? You like a lot of music. I know you like wrestling.
Yes, I really liked wrestling as a kid. I got back into it in like 2019. These days, it's hard for me to keep up though, so I try to watch as many pay-per-views as I can. Just because week to week it was getting hard. It's funny. I was like, wow, it's on Netflix now. I can finally watch it and not have to like hunt down cable or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but now I'm super busy. I don't have time to watch it. So I try to keep up through social media, which is pretty good. But last year I got to go to WrestleMania in Philly, both nights. It was cold as hell, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, music. I was never like a super big music guy. I'll just listen to anything really. I have been collecting vinyls for like film soundtracks though. My friend got me a record player last year, and now I've updated because that one went to hell. So I have a new record player. But yeah, I ended up buying like a bunch of vinyls. I have like John Carpenter's stuff on vinyl.
Oh, cool.
So I got into that. I had to slow down a bit. I'm like, all right, I gotta stop buying too many vinyls. I'm trying to get rid of a lot of stuff. I can't start adding too many new things to it. But yeah, I pop in the Escape from New York records like all the time.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, I got it signed by not John Carpenter, but Alan Howarth, the guy he used to compose with.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, yeah, wrestling was probably the other big one. From being
so kid. Even though you're kind of like purging some of your collection, you might accept a wrestling VHS tape if it's a good one, maybe.
Yeah, probably. People have sent me in a lot of wrestling tapes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would definitely check them out. I think I have like a Goldberg one. I feel bad. I got rid of my Undertaker tape I used to watch all the time as a kid years ago. I was like just selling a bunch of stuff. I got rid of my Undertaker, the Phenom tape. But I feel like a lot of those are just online now if I wanted to rewatch a lot of them.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a pretty cool Sergeant Slaughter tape. It's like American All-Star Wrestling, and it's like Sergeant Slaughter on the tape doing the Uncle Sam thing. So that's fun.
That's cool. What would just some weird questions we like? Well, I like to ask. What would be your perfect, if the money was no issue, you had all the money in the world? What would be Tony's perfect day? Would you start up a YouTube right away? Would you be live streaming? Would you be making a movie review? What would you do with all the money in the world?
All the money in the world.
No, money is no issue. What would be your perfect day?
Oh God, I don't know. Oh, that's a hard question.
You can't even think of that because you're a full-time YouTuber.
Do I only have it for one day?
No. That would be funny. That would be a funny caveat to the question. No.
Well, then
you're unlimited funds for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life,
I'm just producing movies. I'm just producing and directing movies. Then
you would be directing movie. You would take.
I want to do that anyway, but if I had all the money in the world, I'd be doing it way more.
Okay, that's great. That's one of the best answers we've gotten to that question.
Yeah.
So what are your how would you rank what what you love the most? Is it directing, producing, and writing? Like, how would you rank them for yourself?
Definitely directing and writing. Producing is when you have to get like the money for stuff. And that was always my weakest part. Like when I was doing my old web series and stuff, you can definitely tell we cut some corners on my old film projects. Yeah, producing is my least favorite just because money's involved. But no, I love directing. I really love writing. I just love writing characters and dialogue.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun for me. I know a few years back I did just to flex those cinematic muscles. We produced we did Halloween in 5 minutes. We condensed the whole movie down to 5 minutes and we put a bunch of jokes and stuff into it. So that was fun to write because I love that franchise, but it is ridiculous. So we were putting in little Easter eggs for fans. We got to recreate a lot of the visual moments from the movie. That was fun. And then we remade Die Hard as a Christmas film. Because there's always a debate. Is it a Christmas
film?
I agree, but I'm tired of the debate. So we remade it really Die Hard, and we made it even more Christmassy. The bad guy is the Grinch. The Wet Bandits are his henchmen. The Gremlins are in it. And that was fun because that was when I was still at my old job and they had bought a new building that was under construction. So we got to make it look like Die Hard, which, because there's that, so much of Die Hard is him in the skyscraper, the part that's still under construction. So it just worked out. So yeah, directing and writing are my favorite.
That would be that's one of the best responses we've got. Like, that's great to hear.
What do people usually say?
Like one of our friends was like, "I wouldn't be doing YouTube, that's for sure." I was like, he's like, "I'd be traveling the world." I'm like, "Oh, I respect that," but yeah,
I would be doing YouTube for fun and not be stressed about it.
Okay.
I would also say, like, you know, unlimited resources. Now you can outsource a lot of like the editing.
Yes.
And, like, outsourcing the editing is probably the biggest, like, whew, okay.
Yes. I feel bad. I used to have an editor. I mean, I still pay her once in a while when I can afford it, but yeah, I miss having an editor to speed things up. I really miss that.
Totally.
I would love an editor because I can't do it.
Man, I do that annoying sort of like jump cutty, like stereotypical, like
no, that's
YouTube
great
editing. Like I that's how I like. I have the shortest attention span ever, so I gravitate towards those fast cuts that are so random looking.
I remember when you first did that. I was like, you could tone that down just a little bit, It doesn't need to be that intense.
Oh, I had a friend. It was intense. Yeah, it was like
I had a friend
pop-ups and colors and transitions.
I had a friend who started like. She's been reviewing movies for a few years, but like she had one editor who was just taking too much of the dead space between sentences out of the thing. I'm like, hey, you got to talk to your editor. That was too much. Like the conversation was just moving frantically. I'm like, all right, you got to have someone breathe a little bit. That was a little too much. But no, you're probably doing the right thing for these modern audiences. You're probably editing the right way.
I enjoy it. I think to your point though, the editing process where, like, you know, there's really choppy cuts here and there. I've definitely, like, I do the editing that I do for like shorts, for example, because I'm trying to do the dialogue in all, like, in as few takes as possible.
Yeah.
So when I do have to do multiple takes, it is sort of like jarring because it's like there's no pause in between the sentences that I'm doing multiple takes for. But I hear what you're saying. So as a best practice, are you recommending maybe doing like one sentence per take and like, yeah, I don't know.
It depends. I don't really do too much of that. Like a lot of my stuff, a lot of my like vertical clips and like shorts are just from my show, and I just trim it how it needs to be trimmed. Yeah, when I do solo videos, I try to get like at least I do break it up into like paragraphs, and I try to get through the whole paragraph. Yeah, it's hard for me because I don't make content like that usually, where it's like short and more choppy. So I'll have to get back to you on that and give you better advice.
Oh yeah, no, because I was such a like when I first like tried to get into it, I'm like, I was obsessing over so many small details and like for presentation and getting my script right and all this other stuff, and it's very like the minutia of it, and it's like so getting too far away from why, like, you know, people are actually watching, and people don't even really care about that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like there are some people get really hung up on small details. If anything, I have the problem where I kind of maybe let a few small details slide. But yeah,
I have no details. I just release everything.
Yeah.
But that's the name of the game, though, is consistency and volume. So that I'm kind of missing the point by, like, you know, dwelling on like one short and not and then taking days to like edit it, you know, because that was me for like the longest time.
There's the whole like quality versus quantity, and I usually hate that because, unfortunately, a lot of the people I know who say quality versus quantity are just lazy. Like it's just a coincidence. Like in theory, that is the correct thing. Like you want more quality and quantity. It's just unfortunately some of the people I know, it's like, dude, you haven't released a video in like 6 months. Could you stop saying that?
No, I hear it. And then like in like also in theory, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So like there is like, you know, that argument where the more you know, more content you put out, like, you know, you're naturally going to get into the flow of it and discover what it is that, you know, you speak about the best. And yeah, like I can see like both sides. So I mean, you don't get better by, you know, just isolating like one project in between and not executing anything else in the middle, or even like working long term on stuff. So I think that's something that I'm like learning to be more okay with as well.
Yeah, just get it out there. The audience will let you know if you screwed up. Trust me. They let me know all the time. If I make a mistake in something, they will let me know.
I think YouTubers actually use that to get instant engagement. They leave mistakes in.
Okay,
just because the audience is more likely to correct you and leave a comment than any other thing.
There are sometimes. All right, so I try not to do that. Yeah. But there are sometimes where like I just don't have time to re-render the video. So unless it's like a huge mistake or a glaring issue, I usually am just like, you know what, I'll leave it up. I'll let them let me know that I'm wrong.
And you'll get lots of comments on that video.
Yeah. The problem now is like lately I've been filming really far in advance. But like a year or two ago, I was kind of filming one at a time. And it was actually, or I was filming like the Nightmare on Elm Street reviews. So if I screwed up something on one, whenever I shot the next Nightmare on Elm Street review, I'd be like, hey, we're doing a new thing called Tony Was Wrong. And I just read the comments about what I got wrong. I'm like, apparently you say it like this. Apparently that, I didn't understand that scene. So yeah, it's fun to engage with fans and have them like let you know what you did wrong. It helps everyone, I think. But yeah, don't get hung up.
That's a positive too. So like, even if like, you read like a lot of the hater comments and stuff like that across like the internet, like you're still, you have like a levity about it, and like, you can take a joke and you're like, you're self-effacing enough and like aware enough to just know like, okay, yeah, that's how the internet goes. And I think that's how people build more respect for creators, when they're able to just brush it off and acknowledge it directly, but it's not letting you down.
I really like, I have a fun relationship with my fans. They are always trying to piss me off. They're always trying to mess with me, so I feel like I take it pretty well. You also have to have a thick skin on the internet. You can't like get too heated. I try to make comedy out of everything. Like if someone's like really going after me, I try to work it into comedy. If it's not funny, I just kind of ignore it. I definitely have had my share of haters over the years. Oh, really? And partially that's me to blame because I love getting a rise out of people, but then I have to let myself know, I'm like, oh no, these people don't think it's funny. They're not laughing like you are. Like I used to do a lot of satirical, I mentioned earlier, I used to do like a lot of satirical character stuff. And I had to like stop because like, again, people were watching my podcast and then they would watch that and think like those were serious. Like, no, that's a character. I'm like, real Tony would never say those things. It's obviously like a joke thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of people don't get jokes, I guess. A lot of people don't understand the satire, even though, again, I'm not that good of an actor. It was very obvious that I was fucking around. There's actually one that's still up. I used to do this character who was like way too into Power Rangers and Transformers.
Oh, I want to see that.
But I would do breakdowns of like the Transformers and the live action Power Rangers movie that was coming out, and I would purposely get all the details wrong just as like a fun joke. And there's one still on my channel called like the top 5 Power Rangers ripoff, and I left it up because it just makes me laugh because I still get comments on it. And the #1 Power Rangers ripoff was Super Sentai Zoo Ranger.
Oh my gosh.
Which is the footage they used for Power Rangers.
You pissed a bunch of people off with that.
And I'm like, by the way, I'm doing like this stupid accent, like the way too nerdy accent. And I'm just like, wow, can you believe they made the Yellow Ranger a boy and they called them boy? That's not right. And I'm like, Saban and Hasbro should sue them. And like,
oh my God.
To this day, I still get comments being like, you're an idiot. Don't you know? And I'm like, there can't be. There can't. I'm just like,
That's
no,
hilarious.
they are. They actually believe this. I thought it was super obvious.
That's awesome. I want to check that out.
I used to do, again, a lot of those I took down just because, like, when the podcast blew up, I didn't want to confuse all the new audience. And it's not like a lot of those videos got a lot of views anyway. I left a couple up that I really liked. But yeah, when Transformers The Last Night was coming out, I would always do trailer breakdowns. It's funny, I used to do fake trailer reactions and fake trailer breakdowns, and now I do them legitimately. I was doing them because I didn't like trailer reactions, so I was making fun of them and like, well, the what is it? You live long enough to become a villain. Now I'm doing them legitimately. I don't do them often. But yeah, when the last night was coming out, I would always make a point whenever they showed Megatron to call him a different Transformer each trailer breakdown. I would look up the most obscure Transformer, like, and obviously that, and I would throw out a name, and people were like, "You idiot! It's Megatron!" Just every single video, I would give him a different name. I miss doing stuff like that, and occasionally I'll still do it. Oh, I did do a video recently. It's on my channel. It's very clickbaity. It's called The Worst Batman Adaptation. And spoiler for here, it is the Little Golden Book / Funko Pop adaptation of Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh my god!
Which apparently the book, I have a bunch of these books for my nieces, and they usually do the whole movie. But this one only just does the end of Tim Burton's Batman. And like the whole video, it felt good. I felt like I was going back to my roots. I'm like playing it totally straight, like about how it doesn't follow the movie correctly and it gets rid of Vicky Vale. And I'm doing the whole, you gotta respect the lore. You can't change the characters. But I'm doing it for fucking Little Golden Books. So yeah, occasionally great. I'll still do stuff like that. It is fun.
No, I hear what you're saying though. Like the current sort of like interpretation of content is just so just black and white. Like there's so like little room to just interpret like satire and sarcasm. Like, so I hear what you're saying. Like the idea you have is brilliant. You know, it's screaming, you know, like YouTube skip, but like it's like showing it to someone just like offhand who may be new to your channel, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, again, but that was the problem when rental reviews ended and a bunch of fans came over to my channel. They just kept going through my old videos like, what is this? I'm like, let me take that down. let me just go ahead and take that down.
Thought we could maybe throw in a current topic. I know we're talking about DC. You have your criticisms of Zach. What's your thoughts on the controversy surrounding Superman's derpy face and the 30-second trailer? It's fine.
It's fine. He used
have you heard this criticism, Tony?
I have, and it's so stupid. It's like, guys, it's a wide angle lens. You're not meant to pause it. It's supposed to play really quick in the film. And part of me think it might be manufactured because a lot of Snyder fans were reposting a similar shot from Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I didn't like that shot either, though.
Yeah, but
Tony, I'm one of those Snyder fans. I don't like this shot.
Congratulations, you did marketing for the movie. So I feel like he put a similar shot because he knew guys like you would retweet it.
Listen, I'm rooting for this movie. Yeah. I think the flight of Superman is such an important thing. I can't just feel mid at the best. This is a mid at the best. This is like, Superman's flight.
It's just a quick shot. It's probably not going to look, you're probably going to blink and miss it in the theater.
Max, you're literally asking someone who creates movies for and content for a living. So obviously, like, you know, he's going to see this in the context of like, this is not a representation of the entire film. Like,
I mean, it's hard to tell with like trailers. I mean, will the shot even be in the movie? There's plenty of trailers where there's like shots that stand out that don't end up in the film.
I guess it's just a pet peeve of mine when they do like the wide angle lens on it was in Black Adam. It was
okay. The Black Adam one was pretty bad.
Okay, now so you admit that one's bad
because I feel like they lingered on that one a little too much. Well, also the Black Adam one was also sandwiched between. I'm sorry, Rhea. It was sandwiched between a lot of bad visual effects. So for me, I'm like, oh, that's another bad shot. Also, that one did look very CG.
I had extreme criticisms for him. Listen. I don't want to make fun of people with a lazy eye or anything like that. But there's that going on. His chin looks weak for Superman, and it looks like he's wearing a wig.
In the shot.
Yes.
I mean, but again, we had to watch like 2 Aquaman movies where he had CGI hair, and I got over that after like a minute. So, all right. So it's not going to bother me.
No, I've asked a few people, and they say that they don't have any issues with it. Okay, that's fine. I want Superman to look super.
Don't get me wrong. Don't be wrong. In the movie, if there's 17 shots like this that they keep showing, I'm going to be like, all right, yeah, that was a little too much. If it's just one take, and I'm like,
no, before that, the twirl was great. I love the twirl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is supposed to be part of a longer scene.
The whole 2-minute trailer I loved. It's just this one I didn't.
Yeah, I'm interested in what's going to happen with it because I keep talking. I just did a whole big stream with someone where we broke down this trailer for a while. We did that over on the horror channel. Yeah, I'm interested in this movie. For me, I'm sure it will be okay. I like James Gunn. I'm not like the biggest. That's the funny thing when I get in arguments with Snyder fans, like, "Are you James Gunn lover?" I'm like, "Nah, he's all right." I'm just like, I'm not like the biggest James Gunn fan. Like, I'm like, Guardians 1 was great. Guardians 2, he was kind of, the comedy was a little. Guardians 2 was good. He kept undercutting moments with like throwaway jokes, and I think he did it a little too much. And then Guardians 3, I think, was a little too serious in some places, but they're mostly fine. I'm not like, James Gunn is the hero we all need. He's gonna save everything.
Well, you said I don't care if it fails. Like you wanted to succeed, right? But you don't care.
I'm not invested personally. That's my thing. No, I want it to be good. I think it'll be fine. My issue is like, will audiences show up for it? Because they don't really show up for, like, I know you guys love Snyder, but to be honest, a lot of you didn't really show up. Batman movie with just Batman made $1 billion, and then Batman v Superman made less than that.
Actually, it was almost $1 billion, and they took it out of theaters too soon, and they didn't do the extended cut. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing the Snyder bro talk.
I know. That's the thing. I'm just like, well, then
it was not that far from $1 billion, though. It was not that far from.
But no, I just feel like audiences that aren't in the know, like not us. They're going to be like, I don't know. I saw like the last few Superman movies. I didn't think they were that great. I don't know if I'll see this one. Also, audiences are just getting a little tired. General audiences are getting a little tired of superhero films. We're seeing that with
of average superhero. That's what I think. I don't think there's superhero fatigue is real. I think average superhero. You got to do something fresh and new and feel fresh.
Yeah. Well, like even like the only Marvel movie that came out last year was Deadpool and Wolverine, and that was mostly just like a big nostalgia thing. Yeah. So people showed up for that, but like their other movies weren't doing super well. A lot of people are just like, it's just too much to keep up these days. And Disney went a little too far with it. They doing like 4 or 5 shows a goddamn year. I'm like, I don't have time to watch all this. Also, a lot of it doesn't look good. But also DC has screwed up because they like kept like changing their direction, throwing out movies that weren't connected to their universe, which did well. Joker and The Batman did really well. If anything, they should just go back to doing not connected films. That seems to be the best thing over there. But yeah, I just don't know how regular audiences are going to take to the new Superman. There might be people that are like, I'll just watch it when it streams. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope it does well. I like the direction he's going in. But I'm not going to be too broken up about it if it doesn't do well. Okay. My last big DC thing that I was into were the early seasons of the CW shows, which were they were a little corny.
The Flash, the Green Arrow.
Yeah, they were a little corny. They had some melodrama, but so do comic books. Comic books aren't like 100% serious. But after that one producer left or showrunner left, which may or may not have been justified. I know he got like canceled and whatnot. Coincidentally, all those shows took a drop in like a sharp drop in quality. So after that, I just haven't been that invested in any really DC property. I don't buy too many comics these days. Honestly, the only comics I really buy these days are Godzilla crossovers.
No, those are cool.
Those are fun. Those are fun. I'm like, oh, Godzilla's fighting the Justice League. I'll get that. Godzilla. There's one right now. I need to get the first issue. Godzilla is just fighting famous literary characters like the Great Gatsby and Dracula and Sherlock Holmes. I saw that in the store. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I need that. And now he's going to fight the Marvel Universe. I'm like, all right. So I guess Godzilla comic books are the only ones I'm buying because I could jump right in and know what's happening. They make the Justice League. I didn't have to know anything that was going on in Justice League. They're like, here's the characters you know. You don't have to know what's going on in their books. I used to really love comics. DC was my favorite, but they kept like rebooting too much. Like they did Infinite Crisis, and then they did Final Crisis. And then
so they lost you with all that. Sometimes they do that. They do too much tweaking and
they did the New 52, and for a minute, like Batman was Commissioner Gordon in a rabbit robot suit, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So these days, whenever I do buy a comic, I try to make sure it's like a self-contained story, just so I don't have to be too invested in it. The last Batman comic I love was Batman 66 because it was just the Adam West universe. I'm like, all right, I'm familiar with this universe. I can jump in at any moment and I'll know what's happening. I don't know if you guys got to read that one. That one was
I know about it, but I didn't get to read it. That looked cool.
Yeah, my favorite thing with that one is I think it took characters that weren't in the show and imagined what they would look like in the show. So they do like Bane, and he looks more like a legit luchador. That was a lot of fun. I think they finally did Two-Face. They did the movie, the Batman 66 movie. They got what's his face, Will Shatner, to be Two-Face in it. So that was like the last comic that I was like really enjoying. I should actually get more of those. I think I only have a few volumes of those. But yeah.
You mentioned Godzilla. Are you a big kaiju monster fan? You like those?
Yes, I love Godzilla. I have a Godzilla podcast that is on its second hiatus.
Oh, really? Okay.
The first time it was just there was a lot going on. We had to slow down. I had to focus more on Hack the Movies. And then we brought it back last year. And now I don't know for sure. But I was doing these YouTube shorts where I was unboxing the new toys with my nieces in between regular episodes. The show was doing well. We were having fun with it. And one day I wake up and I just see no strikes or anything. My YouTube channel's gone.
Wow.
Got Godzilla versus the Pod Monster is the name of it. Just straight up gone for community guideline violations. And I was like, what the hell are they talking? And the only thing I could think of is the most watched video on the channel was me unboxing the Godzilla mask and my nieces being scared of it. And I think like a bunch of Karens were like, babies aren't supposed to cry.
Oh,
like,
they thought you were like one of those family YouTubers that made your kids cry on purpose.
Yeah, I feel like it was that, which wasn't the case. And by the way,
that was a big thing in
it was.
Yes.
By the way, at the end of the video, they like it, and the one's like waving at it.
Yeah, no.
So I think and it was such a smaller channel, like it only had like 3,000 subs at that point. So like I feel like YouTube was just like, we're not even
He's torturing these kids with the Godzilla
YouTube was
mask.
like, we're not even gonna bother with the strike. Gone. But I'm working to bring it back. We're gonna go live on Twitch going forward. And the video archive will be on everyone's favorite video platform, Rumble.
Woo!
Where if you got kicked off YouTube, you go to Rumble.
I heard
And
the
just
profit
as a
share is
preemptive
a lot better too. Is it? Is the profit share better on there too?
If people are watching your stuff,
True,
maybe.
I was just curious.
It's hard to get viewers there.
That whole losing that channel like shook me a little bit. So I actually have pretty much all of Hack the Movies backed up on Rumble too.
Okay.
Just as like a
backup place.
I get no engagement over there. If you're not being pushed by that platform, I feel like
I think it's hard unless you're really controversial that
Yeah.
those type of channels that go to Rumble do seem
Yeah.
to succeed. Like, oh, that's the only place you could get them.
Yeah. That's the thing. So I have my archive there just in case. So yeah, me and my co-host Johanna, we're gonna bring it back. Probably after I get back from LA, we'll plan a thing to bring it back. But yeah, the video archive is up over on Rumble, Godzilla versus the Pod Monster. The audio platform still exists, so all the older episodes are there. Yeah, and I'm excited to bring that back. A lot of stuff has happened in Godzilla since then. So
I'll probably ask one more Godzilla question. We'll get some to chat, start wrapping up because I don't want to keep you from Royal Rumble today.
Yeah.
So now that you mentioned Godzilla and you had a podcast, what's your highlights of the Godzilla franchise? Your current thoughts of where it is now with the Godzilla -1 and then the current Monsterverse.
So my favorite of the Godzillas are usually the ones that are more in spirit with the original. I do like, obviously Gojira, the original. I like Return to Godzilla. I know some people don't enjoy that one. My favorite outside of the original is Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant All-Out Attack. It's got a long ass title. People call it GMK. That one's fun. I like when Godzilla is the enemy. I enjoy that. Which is why I liked Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1. I enjoy that. But I do enjoy the monster brawls. The early ones, I don't think there's been a bad Godzilla versus Mothra. Like a Godzilla versus Mothra-centric film. I think both are really good. I love King Ghidorah. He was my favorite. So the original Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, I think that's a solid film. Maybe not so much the Astro Monster, where he's dancing on Jupiter. Maybe not so much that one. I like the Monsterverse. I think it took itself a little too seriously in the beginning, which again, normally I would like, but not when it's a monster fight movie, and they definitely course correct it. And now he's pink and flying around, fighting underground giant Kong apes. And my niece.
I never thought it would get this far. I thought they were going to do. I thought it was going to be Godzilla versus Kong again, because the first I go back to watch that first one.
Yeah,
I don't like that one.
Really? I enjoyed it. It did everything it had to do. I enjoyed it. The newer one was definitely more fun. My nieces make me watch the new Godzilla X Kong over and over again.
Oh, really?
I put some Godzilla movies on for them, and they ended up liking it. And then it turns out they love Kong, the new Kong.
Okay.
So we watched Godzilla versus Kong a lot, and they were loving it. And I'm like, oh, there's a new one, and there's a baby Kong, and they're like, you got to put.
What's your favorite of the new MonsterVerse? Like mine's King Kong with like Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson. I actually really like that one. Going back,
that one was really good. I guess my favorite would be I probably would like the first Godzilla versus Kong, because that's what it was building to, and it hit everything. Even if it didn't work for you, it hit everything it had to hit. I really like King of the Monsters, but they did focus a little bit on too many I'm not one of those like get rid of the human characters. I'm not that much of an asshole, but they definitely had way too many human characters. I think they were thinking a little too shared universe, where they're like, this family will be in this one, and these military guys will get their own spin-off, and then the movie came out and people went, I hate most of these characters. They're like, okay, never mind. You're never going to see most of these people ever again. We're going to course correct. But I enjoy the Monsterverse. It's doing what it has to do. Every time they bring back Godzilla and make him serious, it immediately devolves into nonsense. So Return to Godzilla in 1985. Very serious movie about the state of Japan and what it was going through and how the Cold War has affected it. Immediately one movie after, he's fighting a giant plant monster. And then immediately one movie after that, he's time traveling and fighting a robot Ghidorah. And then, like Godzilla 2000 came out, and then he's back to doing monster fights. So yeah, it's always serious and then devolves into nonsense. I like that Japan's just doing it loosely. They're just remaking Godzilla over and over again, just in different ways, which is fine. That's what I liked about the Millennium series, how each film was just a direct sequel to the original, so it gave them room to explore and reinvent, not be beholden to any continuity. And now they're just straight up remaking them. So yeah, I actually like where Godzilla is at the moment. You're getting a lot of variety. You're getting your dumb monster fights over here.
It's one of the most successful movie universes right now.
Yeah, you're getting your very serious Godzilla with -1. I hated the -1 bandwagon fans that were trying to shit on the Monsterverse. They're like, America doesn't get it. Okay, they're making this dumb monster fights. I'm like, son of a bitch, Japan invented that.
Yes.
Literally, the guy who made the very first Godzilla that was very serious and about something serious also did the one where he was dancing on Jupiter. Like, you can't bring up that argument. Like, Japan is just as guilty of this.
My frustration was that, so they can make this masterpiece off of like, I forget, $50 million. So why can't Hollywood do that? I'm just like, that, like, it's not a one-to-one, like, a good movie only takes like, like this amount of money. It's like, the point is that it's not the money. It's like, it's the quality I don't know. Like, it's hard to put into words, but I was just like, wait, there's like, I don't think you're understanding why that's not a thing.
There's also a lot of factors. Like, the actors there probably aren't as expensive as American actors. There's probably not as big of a crew.
Visual effects. Some people pointed out the visual effects were a little like, off in certain places too. Yeah.
Yeah, people really love visual effects. The visual effects were great, but there were some moments where I'm like, that could have looked a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that director
overall was good.
That director is very familiar with visual effects. Actually, the first 2014 Godzilla, when you see the proper color correction, which you can only get on the 4K release, the home release of Godzilla 2014 is garbage. It makes it so dark. And that's one of the biggest complaints about that movie. But I'm like, I remember in the theater, I'm like, it didn't look that dark. And literally, you can only see the real version in 4K Blu-ray. But that director, Gareth Edwards, was a visual effects guy. That's why the effects look great in that. I don't like Star Wars Rogue One. I think it's a boring piece of shit. But the effects look better than most Star Wars movies because he knows what he's doing. I really enjoyed his movie, The Creator, though.
Me too.
Yes, me too.
His problem was characters. He was really bad with characters, making them interesting. And Creator was like the one time he got it right. My favorite example, he did that movie Monsters, about the giant monsters, where he did all the effects on his laptop.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the main actors in that film, the couple in that film, in real life at the time, they were married.
Oh, I didn't.
They had no fucking chemistry in that movie. I'm like, how do you not get chemistry out of like an actual married couple? Like, if you told me that was the first time they met each other, I'm like, oh, that explains it. Then I looked at them like, oh wait, they were married at the time. I'm like, how do you screw that up? But no, I like what he did with Creator. I'm excited to see what he does with Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's right. He's doing Jurassic. Yeah, I actually really like that first Godzilla movie. I like the tone of it, and everything. Yeah, Rogue One's one of my favorite current Star Wars movies. So
yeah, I'd say definitely get the 4K Blu-ray. It's like you're watching the movie for the first time. It's like, oh wow, it looks good now. I don't know, it sucks how home video releases could like ruin a movie like that. I know that movie that came out last year, Immaculate. The director had to come out and be like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, the streaming version's so dark. It's not supposed to look like that." He was just like, "Hey, either get it on physical or the iTunes version is the closest to our color correction." So I'm hoping that's something they can fix in the future. I feel like they're locking audio and picture to be like the same for every single streaming platform or Blu-ray, and it's just not working. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with it, but
physical media for the win. Okay, so let's get to some viewer questions here.
Okay.
Cal says, Tony, do people get upset OVA set changes? Okay. Yeah.
No, not anymore. Actually, I've made so many jokes about the set change. When I first moved in here, I did a video on set changes they didn't think we notice. And I talked about how like the Power Rangers movie had a different command center, Michael Myers' house turning into a Victorian mansion in Halloween 5. But like the end of the video, I'm now walking through the new set and I'm like, yeah, these set changes upset me. And I think about it in front of my toy wall, which has always been here. So like the first few episodes we did on the new set, I kept saying nothing changed, even though it was very obvious everything changed. And I think people liked how I went about that. I'm like, yeah, this window behind me, we've always had this window. So I think because I made jokes about it, they were fine. And it pretty much looks the same. It's whatever. They love the set though.
CGH Entertainment says James is in the Angry Video Game Nerd. Yes. You still talk to him frequently? I know you see him at Too Many Games. How is James doing?
James, I only talk to at Too Many Games,
okay.
like in passing. I still chat with Mike Matei once in a while.
Okay.
I talk to Justin and Kier. I pretty much talk to everyone from there. James is always busy. So yeah, I pretty much only see him at Too Many Games. I'm like, hey, what's up? We catch up for a little bit. It was funny. Actually, the one time, like after rental reviews ended and whatnot, we were at Monster Mania, and he just happened to be there. And I was like, James, can you do me a favor? So what? He's like, what? I'm like, can we take a picture? Because everyone on the internet thinks we're fighting for some reason. So we took a picture of us like smiling. I'm like, just because I wasn't on the channel anymore. But I made a point to say like it wasn't like a bad thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing
something that kind of, he seems like a nice guy, but he seems like he's kind of shy besides his his persona.
Yeah.
In his business, he's kind of seems like he's just to
a
himself.
lot of people are very different from their persona. I'm different from my persona. I'm more of an asshole in real life. So
really? No, but I mean that I don't know him much. I like Angry Video Game. Rhea goes way back. She really enjoys. I remember watching when his first videos popped on IGN. Whatever that was called.
Screw Attack.
Yeah,
game
but
trailers, one of those.
Yeah. But that's what my interpretation is with seeing him at Too Many Games. He just seems like he's just when he's not doing his content, he seems like he's kind of reserved and
I go too hard at conventions. I will be myself at like 100%, and then there will be a point of the day where I just crash. And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for liking the show. Like I'm just like drained because I was too jokey the whole weekend. By the day 3, I'm like, I'm tired. Yeah, I'll sign that for you.
I think the last couple ones that I've gone to with Max, I'm like, oh shit, it's so and so. I don't want to make direct eye contact, but then like I'm inching towards them more and more, and so I'm just like,
here's convention.
So I'm just like, oh god, there they are.
Here's convention etiquette. Okay, if they have a table and if there's not a line, you can go up and talk to them. Try to keep conversations to a minimum. That's like the one thing some people don't get.
Yes,
yeah, don't do that. Like 2 minutes tops. If there's a long line, a minute tops. Luckily,
Pat the NES punk is scared of me. He's like, you generally kind of worry me.
You walk up to him with your camera phone, just like, hey, it's Pat.
Okay, yeah. Don't go up to a content creator and shove a camera in their face.
I asked, but then I start filming. He's like, are you done yet? Can I stop asking questions?
Yeah, okay. Again, convention etiquette. If you want to interview, have like 3 questions, and then if they're open to more, that's fine.
I'm like, just one more.
Get the 3 questions you need answered.
Okay, all right, I'll try.
And then if they're open, do more. If you're at a table, keep checking to see if there's anyone behind you. Keep conversations to a minimum. And by the way, this isn't me being like an asshole. I had to manage bigger content creators like lines at Too Many Games, so I had to be the bad guy and be like, come on, buddy. You gotta move it up.
Oh, you're the bouncer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if you see the 100 people behind you. Could you not ask them to sign 15 different things?
Well, Ray, if you want to ask them this question, I have a question too. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, black or white or color? Which do you like better?
In reference to what? Film?
In classic movies, yeah.
Oh wait, film.
Film. I mean, it depends, really, because some movies are shot to be in black and white, and others are shot to be in color. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know with Godzilla -1, they released it in 2 different versions. I enjoyed the black and white one. Black and white helps with visual effects, masks some of the details. I don't really have a preference. Pretty much whatever it was intended to be shot in, that's what I want to see it in. Like, I know The Mist was meant to be a black and white movie, and then they were forced not to make it a black and white movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I think there is a black and white version of that film that looks really good. I've seen the black and chrome version of Mad Max Fury Road, and it's fine, but the nice thing about that movie compared to a lot of post-apocalypse stuff that was coming out at that time is that it was saturated with colors, where everything else was like grayscale and desaturated. So I prefer the color version.
The ultimate unedited Snyder cut in black and white, which blow your mind, Tony. No,
I'm not doing it again.
That's gonna completely change your mind. You're gonna totally
I'm not doing it again. But yeah, then you get like older movies that were shot in black and white and were colorized later. I'm not too into the colorized versions of those. So yeah, basically whatever was meant to be shot. I know with Fury Road and -1, they like specifically worked. It wasn't just they threw a filter on it. They specifically went in and like toned it and color corrected it scene by scene. So that makes it a little bit better. But yeah, I wish I had a more interesting question for you, answer for you. There.
So yeah, we've seen you at Too Many Games. How many? Do you go to a lot of conventions, and what are some of your highlights, your favorite conventions to go to?
The 2 big ones I try to make a point to go to every year are VHS Fest at the Mahoning Drive-In, and
I've heard of this,
and Monster Mania in Oaks, which is where Too Many Games takes place. I've been trying to branch out and go to other conventions. I wanted to go to GalaxyCon in March, and I forgot to get a table. I don't know if they're still available.
So you go to more local conventions? You don't?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I try to I do go in the state. A few years ago, I did go to Spookalla. That was a lot of fun in Florida. There's a local brewery near me that does a lot of like fun screenings and stuff, and they have a little event, bunch of events. It's called the Chamonix Creek Brewery in Croydon, Pennsylvania. Because it's so local, I go there a lot. I usually have a table there. They have like they'll usually do like a mystery screening during the summer. Like every Friday night, it's a mystery VHS tape that they'll play. But then they have like weekend events. Like I think they're having this month. They're having a Year of the Snake event where they're going to play 2 mystery snake movies. So I'm going to have a table there. A while back, they did like a Godzilla Day. They did Godzilla Day -1. Because it was the day before Godzilla Day. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, that's cool.
But no, I am making an effort this year to try to go to further conventions, just to see what's out there. I think I missed the boat on Astronomicon. I went to Astronomicon to work it a few years back, and we do have a lot of fans out in Detroit, so I would like to get an actual table there at some point. But yeah, I guess you got to just keep following my socials.
Yeah,
where I've been.
My friend Joe lives close to there too, and I've been hearing about the retro one, and then the VHS one. I think I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh man, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So
I'll usually do like fan meetups if I'm ever going somewhere. Next week I'm going to LA. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be doing a meetup there, but I will be there. But over the summer I made a Pittsburgh trip, and I did a fan meetup at the Monroeville Mall.
I missed it.
Aww.
I could have got there.
What you got to follow my socials. I advertised it enough.
Oh man, I do follow you, but I missed that. Oh wow.
Well, now we know.
Cool.
Keep it.
Yeah, and then a few years back, I did a meetup at Planet Hollywood at Disney Springs, so that was fun. But yeah, so follow my socials. I usually announce where I'm going to be. I'll try to find more out of state
everywhere.
stuff. Yes.
Yes.
All right, and little movie purposes. I really liked Emilia Perez. Thoughts? Hack the movies.
What? Why? It's such a shit show. I'm enjoying it on a Cats level, where I'm like, I can't believe this got made. It got this far. Like, so many talented people were involved in making something so bad. I thought it was a disaster. I enjoyed watching it, but the musical aspect doesn't work at all. There's no one to really root for in the movie. They're all terrible characters, which is fine. I watch like Godfather movies. They're all violent murderers. You don't really want to root for them. But I feel like the movie wants you to be rooting for like a few of them. And I'm like, but they're terrible. They're terrible, irredeemable assholes.
Mm-hmm.
There's no redeeming qualities about them. Is that what you're trying to say? There's nothing you could
pretty
really,
much,
potentially latch onto as a redeeming
yeah, which is why, again, you could do that. You can make a movie like Scarface. What the hell is redeemable about Tony Montana? And that's interesting. But when the movie makes you want to sympathize and care about this character, I'm like, yeah, but they're a violent murderer who kept doing their crime ways after the fact. Like, I don't really care about this person.
True, yeah.
You feel a little bad for Michael Corleone in the first Godfather because he was actively working not to be in that world, and then he was forced into it. But by the second one, it's like, well, you're in it now, man. Like, you're kind of the bad guy now. It sucks, but you're not really trying to fix yourself.
True.
All right.
Yeah.
If you want to read this one, Rhea, and then we'll probably start wrapping it up, and we'll get one more with Perp's promoting his own channel in this section. Okay, go ahead with this one, Rhea.
What is it about 90s filming that stands out so much? Movies like Heat. What is was it the lenses they were using more, or type of film?
Yeah, well, most of it was still shot on film. The 90s was a fun time for movies. Maybe not so much like the big blockbusters. Oh no, some of those look pretty good. I think like all the old school techniques were perfected in the 90s. Like miniatures looked great in the 90s. We were used to miniatures beforehand, but like when you got to like Independence Day and like Starship Troopers, like all the miniature ships and cities, they looked incredible. The digital effects were there. They were used sparingly. Sometimes they were not used sparingly, and that's where you get Spawn or Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And you're like, oh, you should have used less. Actually, it wasn't there yet. It was before things went a little too digital. Not that I shit on digital. I love digital movies too. I just feel like the old school techniques were perfected, and it was a nice little time before everything went all in on digital effects. But for me, it's mostly just nostalgia. That's when I was growing up. Those were the new movies in my youth. So that's maybe why I connect to those more than any other decade. It's just, I know a lot of people love 80s stuff. I'm like, I love 80s stuff, but I wasn't really around for the 80s.
I think it's like the starving artist and competition. Like there were still the techniques being developed. So they're like, oh, did you see what this production did? And the competition was so hot. There was it was the golden era where the movies were the big thing. Now there's so much competition for people's entertainment eyes. There's streaming, video games and stuff. That's my theory. And
you have I notice all your Blockbuster stuff. Blockbuster didn't really help the movies because then movies started studios started making movies that they knew would be rented in blockbusters.
Yeah.
So that's why like the 90s movies started getting a little less violent. There wasn't a lot of blood and stuff. And then when blockbusters started to wane, that's when all like the more gory stuff came in. So yeah, so there were definitely issues in the 90s. Early 2000s had a problem with product placement, a real problem. I go back and watch some movies. I'm like, oh man, it was very blatant. You know, much like Man of Steel was very blatant with its product placement, which I'm sure you'll try to defend. You're like, Tony, when Superman threw him into a U-Haul truck outside of the Sears across from the IHOP and 7-Eleven, that really spoke to me.
Yes, yes.
It's funny, it was such a small town and not one mom and pop store in that small town. It was just, you would have gotten away with the 7-Eleven and the U-Haul truck. The Sears and the IHOP, I'm like, all right, come on. There's not just one.
I'll allow it.
There's not one local deli in all of Smallville. Give me a break.
Yeah. All right, and then Little Movie Perp, a good friend of the channel. Would you be down to discuss this on my channel? I think he's talking about the Amelia Perez.
I don't know who you are. Little Movie Perp.
Contact him on his socials. It'll see.
Contact me. I don't really just show up on people's channel. It depends. I have to look at the channel and see if it's a good fit for me. Usually, if it's I know you in person, I'll do it. Like Rhea, I know Rhea. Obviously, I've met both of you guys.
Okay.
I don't just do everyone's channel. But,
okay.
Yeah, I'll consider it.
All right, cool.
No,
cool.
There was one guy. There is one guy who just started like a channel. I was like, "Will you be on my channel?" I'm like, why don't you like try to build your channel up a little bit before you start asking for guests? But
well, we appreciate you making time for us for sure.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Hold on, I'm looking up Little Movie Perp. Hold on. I will subscribe.
Oh, that's nice. See, he's a nice guy.
Little Movie Perp, subscribe. There we
he
go.
did. He did direct. He is a director.
Ooh,
he did direct. He's an episode of Ashes versus the Evil Dead.
Oh,
yes.
Little Movie Perp. I will definitely be on your channel. I plan on reviewing that show at some point.
Oh, cool. Maybe when you get to it, he has a pivotal episode. That would be a great collab if you're willing to work it out. He has a really important episode that he directed.
Yeah. No, because we did all the Evil Dead movies, but I'd like to go back and do like each season of the show because I loved that show. That show was really good.
He's in season 3. And
Cool.
what's the name of your episode again? I forget. Did you see it before Ash versus the Evil Dead, or are you just doing it now for your show?
Huh?
Did you see the seasons before, or are you doing it fresh?
I was watching them as they were airing. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the name of your episode, Perp, again? I forget.
Yeah, let me know the episode.
Yeah.
I have the whole series on Blu-ray. I was rewatching it recently, actually.
Apparently Dead.
Apparently Dead. Let me look if I remember that one.
Daddy episode.
Ash versus Evil.
Man, you're self-promoting, Perp. Oh my God.
That's good. Lead with that. By the way, lead with that next
Yeah.
time.
No, I haven't seen the series yet. I watched that episode because he directed. I was like, I really enjoyed this episode. It was really good.
Let me go back. I'm looking at the episode.
If any folks have any last minute questions while Tony.
Oh, I remember that episode. That was good. That was a good episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, any closing thoughts that I'm going to check out your back catalog. There's a lot of suggested videos that you were talking about today that I'm like really interested in. I'm going to check. I want to challenge myself to be more reviewer. You and Mint, because I'm more the movie talk guy, but I want to actually start reviewing stuff. And I hunt for physical media, but I want to actually watch some of these movies and review them. So thank you for the inspiration to all the YouTubers out there to be a consistent reviewer. And you do it now. It's your full-time job. That's give you props to that. That's that's rare.
Please subscribe.
Yeah, we gotta pop up the reminders.
January ad revenue was really bad. Please watch my
Yes,
episodes.
And Hack the Movies, you can find him at Hack the Movies on YouTube, and definitely follow him on X and Instagram. And do you post shorts on TikTok as well, or is it just YouTube?
Yes. Yeah, all my vertical shorts on YouTube also go to Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, Awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
So check out Tony over at Hack the Movies across all the interwebs. And yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. I really appreciate it. And thank you, chat. Thank you, Max. Yeah, we will catch y'all later. Have
Bye,
a great
everyone.
Saturday.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Watch Royal Rumble.
Yes, I got to schedule that. Bye.